turning headline news into punchline gold. 5 nights a week. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Swipe left, swipe right, but step aside selfies. Your political stance might be the thing that stands out to people on dating apps. A new study finds your political views might be a real deal breaker or deal maker when you're dating online. I'm here with George Melios, who worked on the study. He's a behavioral science researcher at the London School of Economics. George, welcome to the show.
Hi, dude. Nice to see you. Thank you for hosting me.
The name of your paper is even funny. It's titled Sleeping with the Enemy, Partisanship, Intolerance, and Online Dating. What exactly were you trying to find out with this study, and how did you go about looking for it?
So I think both the topic and the name are quite funny stories, independent stories, but quite funny as well. So we started this work about 2 years ago with Paul and Yara, Paul Dole and Yara Sleiman, but the co-authors of the study. And the idea came from basically a pub conversation that was about people putting on their Tinder profiles, no Tories, no Labour, and these type of messages. So we're trying to basically see whether that's just people being stupid or just trying to be provocative to start up a conversation, or it's reflecting actual behavior. And we started working with a couple of platforms that we can't really name for NDA reasons, but we started looking at, is this what people actually believe? Like, do platforms match politically people? And this is where the title came from, because we attended an online sort of convention of dating platforms a couple of years ago. And they were calling non-matching profiles enemies. So it's like, you shouldn't match these type of people with these type of people because they will be enemies and they will never swipe right or something like that.
So the platforms themselves, in some cases, were like preventing people on the left from matching with people on the right to give them better matches.
This was a discussion of people working on them. So I don't know if it's an official strategy of the platforms or not. I don't want to be sued about anything. But the discussion was about whether we should be designing algorithms that basically match people with different interests.
So political attractiveness, is it a real thing? Can you measure it? Were people swiping based on it?
So what we did in the study is actually a bit interesting and funny thing at the same time. So we created hundreds of fake profiles. So we took pictures that were basically AI before AI that are generically beautiful or generically less beautiful. We made a lot of people rate them on how pretty they are so that we can get a sort of basic level of attractiveness. And then we tried to basically create a virtual checklist. You know, we always say that men and women have different types of checklists of characteristics that they should be measured. And we created this checklist based on the literature. So we created prettiness, political leaning, whether you vote for Labour or for Tories, how tolerant, how open you are to discuss with other people, because this is a thing that came up a lot when we were checking profiles on other platforms. And then things that are sort of deal breakers for some people when you're dating, and there is literature about it, which is height. For women particularly, it's quite important. And dietary needs, because it sort of gives a bit of wokeness flavor into it. And we created an experiment that basically tries to estimate trade-offs between these things, like how hot do I need to be to date me, for example, for you to date me if I'm also voting for the opposite party, or like how tolerant do I need to be if I vote for the opposite party, or like if I'm extreme vegan and you don't like vegans, what do I need to trade for that?
And what did you end up finding?
So we ran that for about 3,000 people in the UK last year. And we ended up finding two very interesting things. The first thing is that what you vote matters as much as how pretty you are. So there is basically like a 20 percentage points difference on, like, I'm willing to trade 2 points of beauty out of a 10-point scale to date someone that votes the same thing as me. And I'm willing to do the same thing with them being open. So, okay, you can vote for something else, but as long as we can discuss, I'm willing to sort of go past it.
Interesting. So attractiveness outweighs your political leanings, or at least helps. But if you have an openness, that's scored high. I guess my next question is, why do you think, based on these findings, politics have become so intertwined with romance? Is it a sign of the times that people are really divided right now? Or do you think this has always been the case and you're just highlighting it?
So I think there is a couple of things. I think, and this is the interesting part of us doing it in the UK and not in the US, which is already a sort of extremely polarized situation right now. First of all, it's not universal for everyone. So I don't think it's the same mechanism that drives women dating out partisans and men dating out partisans. We know that behaviorally. So we know that men, for example, in this platform, they're like swipe, 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 instead of just looking at the profile. While women are sort of mostly, at least empirically, looking for non-casual relationships through these platforms. They're like, yes, I will go on a date with you, but on the background, I'm thinking that, okay, can I be with this person? So in that sort of argument, then other things rather than attractiveness start to play a role in this discussion. And the other thing is that from this research and other work that I'm doing on sort of behavioral effects of polarization, we do observe that polarization is starting to sort of affect everyday life behaviors that are not political. For example, what you donate to, who you date, what type of roommates you are getting. There's a bunch of research that sort of gets into that thing that, okay, we're getting polarized in every way now.
Do you think it's that people find those politically aligned with them more sexy, or is it more about like core beliefs and lifestyle and values and things like that?
One can only speculate. I don't have a very clear answer to why that would happen. I think one of it is the sort of more modern way of life that nobody really has time. So I'm not willing to invest a time for a date with you if I know that we are disagreeing on core concepts. Maybe it's fun, maybe you're hot, maybe we can have sex, but that's not gonna do anything for my life, so let's skip. And the second thing that's more empirically based and less of a speculation is that politics now sort of work as a signal for a bunch of things. So if I know that you're conservative, for example, I know that you might not like abortion, that you might be sort of racist. There is a connotation of how people see the sort of default left person and the default right person and what this comes about.
Interesting. Were there any examples of people exaggerating or faking their political identities on dating apps to get more matches, even though they're not the political thing they claim to be?
That's a fantastic question. I don't know, but given what we know from social science, that people generally lie on surveys to sort of feel socially desirable, I'm pretty sure that people do that. And maybe there is something that we sort of give from this paper, like just don't mention your politics and try to be open to everyone. You'll get more likes. That sort of seems to be there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wants to be hotter to a certain group, they can change their political affiliation on an app just to get more matches. We talked about it at the beginning of the interview, app designers only matching those with similar political alignments. You said you don't know if that's happening now, but based on your paper, do you think that's a good recommendation to apps, or would that further polarize us, or both?
I think both. I think they might make more money, like people will stick more with the platforms unless they actually find, I don't know, permanent partner. They don't need this platform anymore. And it will also polarize it. I think that if we're just being exposed to a specific group, we tend to sort of exaggerate on how polarized we are.
Any other recommendations or follow-ups you would have from this study?
We're trying to do something now on whether you would be willing to have a beer with someone that sort of votes a different way. But I'll need you to catch you up on that. It's coming soon, but it's not ready yet.
That beer thing's funny. A long time ago, I dated this Republican woman, and I asked her why she liked George Bush, and she said he just really liked him because she felt like he was a president that she could sit down and have a beer with. So maybe this thing is very important, this beer concept.
In the UK, I think it's actually, it says a lot about what you think of the other person if you're not willing to have a beer with them.
Well, George Melios is a behavioral science researcher at the London School of Economics. George, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.